I'm involved in the Jewish community in general because I think it's really important to give back and to make sure that the organizations that we have in our community are sustainable for a long time in the future.
I'm a product of Jewish philanthropy. Growing up, when I grew up on the other side of the tracks, and I think every time that I needed help personally, I was helped out by the Jewish community. And I think that life is long, and I think you're responsible to pay back for what you got.
I grew up in Newark, poor family. When it was time to go to college, there was a question of how do you afford tuition? And so I talked to the rabbi who said, I'll write a letter. I'll let them know your circumstances. Maybe you'll get financial aid. Well, the maybe turned into, yes, it happened. We did the same thing for law school, college and law school, taken care of with the help of my rabbi. So there's a natural progression from that occurrence, which meant everything to me and my family, to why do you get involved with Jewish philanthropy?
I'm involved with Federation because it takes my Jewish values and puts them into action, because I really believe that all of Israel is responsible for one another. And I know that when I give a gift to Federation, it's reaching Jews in our community and in Israel and around the world in ways that I could never reach on my own. And it's only through giving as a community. Shortly before a milestone birthday, I attended a special line event. It was at the Crystal Plaza. It was honoring Ruth Ligau, who had done tremendous work inspiring women to create legacy gifts to endow their Lion of Judah. It was a very special event, finding that someone could inspire so many women to endow their gifts at one time. And I was very aware that MetroWest is a leading community. And I wear my lion proudly. And to know that I would have put the flame, it was something I wanted to do, and certainly being there contributed to my interest in following up.
The Bob Rubin Memorial Fund was established at a time when we were really struggling to sustain our summer inclusion program, which provided dedicated shadow staff for children with special needs in our summer camp program.
So Jonah has Down syndrome, which a lot of people are familiar with, and has developmental delays associated with it. So his intellectual abilities are different than most kids. The truth is, there were not a lot of options for us. And that's what makes Camp Yachad so special. Thanks to the generosity of Bob Rubin's family and this fund, they have created this program that enables my son to be a part of the community and has given him such an amazing experience transitioning from camper to staff person, and hopefully from staff person to contributing member of the community.
My husband died 10 years ago. He was a wonderful, sweet, brilliant, happy man. Business was still going. He had workers there who loved him. When he died, they didn't know what to do, and so they just began to pour out money and say, do something with this. And I knew that there were children who were going to the Yachad camp who were children with special needs. And I felt that would be appealing to those people who originally gave the money. It would certainly make my husband feel good.
Well, in 2006, we lost Dad unexpectedly and suddenly, and a part of grieving, I think, for us was also coming together with the community. And we were fortunate that so many people came out and wanted to do something to honor his legacy and also to make sure that his important work continued. And so, with a lot of help from the community, from the JCF, and from sitting down to try to just plot out what we could do in his honor, Mom and the Hirsch family and many other families in the community got together and established the Herb Iris Youth and Family Philanthropy Program. Well, the Iris Teen Tzedakah program has been just a model example of how to remember the mission of Dad and Mom, and do something that was so positive and exciting for the youth in our community, and also really continue Dad's direction of fostering and supporting young leaders in the community.
And it was very important to our father, which we always knew, of the next generation and how to create new leaders.
This program truly was an inspiration for her. And whenever she would participate, she would just become very excited and animated and engaged again. And she was a fighter, and she was fighting an illness that many of us in the community have faced, and it was hard. She received a packet of letters from the teenagers, the Irish teens, and some of the last messages that she heard and that she was able to hold on to and enjoy were the words of Irish teens who were sharing how much the program meant to them, how much they had learned, how excited and grateful they were for the participation of the family and the support of the family.
There's no chance we would have done it. We needed the structure, the framework. My grandparents were very generous within the Jewish community, and probably hadn't thought about what that really meant until I went this year to take my son to look at the JCC in Scotch Plains for a summer program and saw my grandparents' name on the wall. And so you start to understand the impact of someone doing some planning ahead of time and how that can resonate 4 generations later and what that gift back then meant. And so for me to be able to say thank you back for those who thought ahead of me is really something special.
I am Phyllis Bernstein from wonderful Westfield. I love the JFS. I've been a volunteer and a donor for many, many, many years. It's a really, really, really important organization in our community.
We've learned an incredible amount from the Legacy program as a result of the Federation trainings and also the trainings from the Green Spoon Foundation. How can Jewish Family Service of Central New Jersey be sustained in the future? And the Legacy gift is such an important part of that conversation. And in terms of meeting the goals of the community in the future, we're here to serve people. And Legacy will only enhance our ability to serve the people in Central Jersey.
I met Bill and Betty Lester when they came to my office, at that time in Millburn. They wanted to leave their estates to charity, but they wanted the fact that they were doing so to be memorialized in some way so that there would be an incentive to others to also leave money to charity. The Federation of MetroWest was one of the charities they wanted to leave their money to. We called a meeting with Richard Slutsky, with whom I worked when I was involved with the Jewish Community Foundation. We tossed it around for several hours, and the idea of the Lester Society was born in that meeting. The Lester Society was indeed set up to inspire others, and in fact it did. It got a very welcoming response from the community, and each year we would get a couple of more members who would be recognized at the annual meeting of the Federation as new Lester Society members. I wish Bill and Betty were around to see how successful it was and what it did to our endowment.
Here was a man who was known to the Jewish community only as being Jewish. One day in 2002, he walked into Federation offices, and lo and behold, this man, the stranger, put down a check for $75,000 and said to them, "If you do a good job with this, there may be more behind it." This miserly man died on January the 17th, 2004. 4 years later, to the day, Karen Ness and the Ness Fund were recognized by Shimon Peres, the president of Israel, at his home Beit Hanassi in Jerusalem for the work that they had done and were still doing. The lives that he has reached in Israel run in the thousands. I mean, little projects that would not have occurred but for the Nest Fund. Talking about an artist colony in Zukim. We were the first to bring culture to the old city of Beersheba. Zionism is alive, well, thriving, gloriously in the Negev.
We were in the town of Hura in Israel, and we spoke with a couple of young women from the Bedouin community who were able to go to college because of the funding that the Ness money gave to them. We asked her, how does her family feel about her going away from the community, off to college with other people, mixing with other Israelis? And she said she just had to promise her father that she wouldn't get married until she had her degree. Here is a girl who is going to bring back to her family an experience that hopefully will open things up for the rest of the family and the rest of her community.
We chose to leave a gift because we recognized how important it was to take care of the future and to make sure that these institutions, whether they're day schools or Jewish Family Services and JCCs and camps, all of these organizations have a future.
My wife Iris and I both appreciated the various agencies that did such good work, and we wanted to pay tribute to that and to support it.
Churchill said you make a living from what you earn, you make a life from what you give. And that I keep in my wallet.
I would say it's working, and thank you, and you are having a real impact on real families.
Giving isn't an act, it's a lifestyle. And Mom and Dad set that forward for us.
I remember the 1967 war. My mother, who was a bookkeeper after my father had passed away, gave a gift of $25 to the Federation Emergency Campaign. And the woman who sat next to her gave $1 million because they owned the local oil company. And my mother was thanked by the person who sat next to her because of the quality of her gift. I think my mother would fell. This is exactly what she would have wanted to have done had she been able to be in a position to be able to do that. And I think I can be a role model for both myself, the community, and my mishpacha.
This is beyond me. This is greater than me. This is my family and this is my community. And I don't need to know who it's touching. It feels right and it feels good.